howling in the night. Paranormal beings come out to play. Feel that chill upon your neck, but do not fear when the Rougarou barks, because we'll follow you into the dark. We'll follow you into the dark.
Hey, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, wherever you're listening to us. This is our very first podcast. We're super excited about it. Northwest Curiosity Society, Into the Dark. There's originally 8 members of Northwest Curiosity Society. Tonight, we have 4 joining us. We've got Danny in California joining us on a Zoom call. Danny?
What is up, everyone? Hello.
We got Rob in the studio.
Hello. How you doing, everybody?
Jesse.
Hey, guys.
And myself, Scott. Thank you. Have a seat.
You guys need to settle down on third.
That was weird. It got louder
When it was talking about me, yeah.
Yeah, that was too much.
Too
Okay.
much.
All right, so tonight, our very first episode, we actually had a interview set up, but that didn't work out. So we're going to just do some introductions. We're going to talk about Northwest Curiosity Society, what we do, kind of what we're all about. And going to have a little class session where we're going to talk about some ghost gear, some of the ghost gear that we use, and some investigative tips. And we're also going to be talking about some of the most recent UFO sightings. So in regards to the introduction, NWCS is Northwest Curiosity Society. Everyone's going to be able to give a sort of an explanation of how this whole thing happened. I'm going to give my brief explanation of how we came to be this group. Ask 8 different people within this group. They'll probably have 8 different reasons or different stories of how we started. But mine basically is, we are a group of lifelong friends who all sort of share the same curiosities when it comes to Bigfoot and UFOs, haunted locations, urban legends, stuff like that. It started out essentially with all of us just kind of camping, all hanging out camping. And we would choose destinations that were either paranormal or that there was Bigfoot sightings so that we could all camp together. But also go out on these adventures. And slowly it sort of morphed into taking road trips, loading everybody up in the motorhome, going on these road trips. As far as I recall, when the group Northwest Curiosity Society was really kind of formed, actually I want to take it back just for a second, because when we started out with the camping group, we were the International Jackalope Society.
Yes.
And we had a little jackalope sign that we would do. But eventually that name changed, and I believe that change was when we took our first trip to Nevada, because I sort of remember being under the Reno, the biggest little town in Nevada, or whatever that sign is. That was our first sort of solid investigation where we had some tools, and we decided that, hey, why don't we just put this on Facebook, kind of from what I recall. And from that point forward, we had this almost, I would say, overnight following of people who just enjoyed sharing the adventure with us on Facebook. And eventually, shortly down the road, we sort of opened it up to, hey, we're having a lot of fun with these adventures and these events. Why don't we just invite people to come with us on this adventure? And so... that's when we started kind of doing these ticketed events. I don't know if that's how you guys remember it, but that's kind of how I remember it. And I do recall that we had searched out some other paranormal adventures where you can kind of go on these haunted locations, and I had done a few of them. I did some in New Orleans and some other locations. It was basically like 45 minutes. They charge you kind of a fortune. You're part of this kind of cattle group as they walk around town and point out buildings and tell you the history of it, not knowing if any of it's actually true or not. So I was really disappointed in sort of the paranormal adventures that you could do. So we decided, look, we have lots of gear that we've put a lot of money into, some really good quality instruments, and let people use that stuff. And, the stuff that you see on Ghost Adventures, and allow people to sort of give them a class on how to use this stuff, and then put it in their hands and let them use it. And I think that that's where our success began, really, is that we were able to take people to these haunted locations with us, allow them to go overnight, not just for an hour, but to actually stay all night, overnight, using our tools to do their own investigations. And I think we're up to close to 9,000 followers now, which in the grand scheme of things might not be a huge amount of followers, but to us, we're happy to have each and every one of those and enjoy the time that we have with those individuals. But that's sort of how I recall that we, formed this Northwest Curiosity Society group. I don't know if either one of you guys have any other thoughts on how we got to
pretty
be
similar, actually.
Yeah. What was the first was it the Washoe Hotel that we went to first?
The Washoe was the first paranormal. I think what basically happened, we were the Jackalope Society. And then
international?
Yeah,
Jackalope
International,
Society.
yeah.
Because we were pretty big.
Yeah, we were. So, and then we did our first
international following.
paranormal investigation at the Washoe, and then we transformed to Northwest Curiosity Society after that, because I think that's where the first paranormal investigation kind of blew our minds, and that's what really got us dive deep into the paranormal part of it.
I'm going to have a moment here, a senior moment, but was it the Washoe Club was the first? I for some reason, I think that we all went to Goldfield, and Goldfield was our first.
Virginia City.
Goldfield was shut down. Goldfield was shut down. Remember, we couldn't get into it, but I think one of the guys went out and kind of scouted it out. But we went to Washoe, is what I recall first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
think so too. Yeah.
Were you actually with us on that one, Danny?
He was.
I was on that one.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we've
I mean, the
we've
picture.
made several trips to Washoe, so sometimes I get confused. But
Virginia City was the first.
Yeah, it was our first one. We had
and we
limited
had
gear.
and we had a lot of activity. I believe the first
And
time we went.
The first, there was so much that I think the non-believers in the paranormal in our group became believers there.
I definitely was like, I was doing it for fun for sure. This because it's fun. A bunch of friends getting together to
Do an
hang out
adventure.
and stuff and do the venture. But and I don't know. I had things happen when I was younger and stuff, so I wasn't a non-believer, but I hadn't had anything happen to me in a long time. And then when that
were you touched?
when I was younger,
Yeah.
It wasn't a touching moment for sure.
I really don't
Frank
want
with
to talk about that. But no,
I mean, was it a touching moment?
no, I had.
I didn't mean were you touched.
No, I was not touched.
Sometimes they scratch.
No, I had something. This is no joke. When I was moving out of my house, when I was I think I was 10 or 12 or something like that, I had a super bad nightmare that night, and it was this figure that was kind of a pointed head shaped figure. And then when I woke up in the morning, there was on the wallpaper had been ripped in that shape, exactly the same figure that I dreamt about. And I remember my mom coming in there and saying, "Why did you do that to the wall?" I was like, "I didn't do it. It was in my dream." And we just moved out and never ever talked about it again. But it freaked me out. I'm
The
serious.
thing that concerns me about that statement is that of all the times we've gone camping with Rob, and of all the times we've been around the campfire, that's one story I have not heard.
It's absolutely 100%
Danny, have you heard that
true.
story before?
I can't say that I've heard that story
No,
before. I guess you learn something new every day. Huh?
We've never talked about my childhood. This is
Well,
I was young.
we've sat around the campfire telling ghost
okay.
stories, and
Well,
this one never.
It's
Not that I don't believe
I skin
you.
it. It's absolutely 100%.
Not that
true.
we don't believe you. I
Let
believe
me,
you.
I'm gonna
Adult
call my mom.
beverages.
I'm gonna call my mom right now.
No, don't call your mom.
I know we'll be here for a while if I call her. I love you, Mom, but no. Anyway, so yeah, and then when that happened, when I had the noise from the boards hitting together, and then I ran into the ballroom, and we heard that. We captured that voice replying to
that
Jesse.
that I do believe was one of my moments where I sort of became a true believer. I've always believed in the paranormal. I've always believed in UFOs and Bigfoot. But unless you have actually had that experience, I don't think that, I gotta be honest. We'll talk about that in just a sec. But I think one of the scariest moments that I've had, which is really unusual because it was just not a scary situation, but is when we were at the Goldfield High School, and we were getting ready to do our investigation. It wasn't a ticketed event. It was just us doing it. And we were setting up all of our camera systems, our PTZ camera systems, and it was up on the second floor of the school in the principal's office. And I remember Tab and somebody else was setting up the cameras, and they were all downstairs, and they wanted me to run the line up to the cameras. And so I went by myself to run these lines. And
what Scott rarely does by himself. Hey guys, one of you want to come with me and get some of this?
Scott never goes on his own.
Well, this was the one time that I'm the one of the group that runs like it's screaming like a girl when something happens. But I took the I took the cords up there, and I heard something just like a tink, and I ran. Like I could not get down those stairs fast enough.
Sort of like me at the Washoe.
Yeah,
I ran.
Tell us about that.
Well, so I was using the infrared camera, and I was in complete dark. The only thing I could see was the LCD screen, and that's how I was navigating. And there's a set of stairs where there's supposedly been, I think there's supposed to be a little girl at the top of the stairs or something, or I can't remember exactly what happened there, but I went.
Yeah, it was the second floor going up to the third floor.
Yeah, so I wanted to record that, so I panned up there, and unfortunately with the camera, it had loose lens in it, so we had a lot of a lot of noise from that, unfortunately. But I panned up there, nothing, and as I started to pan down, I got the hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and I panned down, and then all of a sudden it sounded like two pieces of 2x4 hitting each other. Bang. And I know everybody else was in the ballroom at the time. And it just, I think the creepiness I got, the hairs standing up at the back of my head, and then hearing the noise, I immediately took off running.
You got to remember, this was our first paranormal investigation, so we were brand new.
Yeah. So
very first, yeah.
Yeah, and so I took off running in there. Everybody else was in there. We had the drones flying in there, and Jesse was doing the EVP and
spirit box.
I think we probably had everything going at once. We've learned now. Maybe we
the temperature gauge.
Yeah.
Temperature gauge.
Yeah.
So we had everything going, and so we have audio of it we can play for you, but it's not the greatest because you can hear the drone flying in the background and whatnot. But
but what you'll hear is unfortunately you don't hear what we heard, which is Rob running clickety clock down the hallway.
And then I stopped right when
he comes into the room, and he stops shortly before he gets in the room and kind of casually walks in and he's out of breath. And,
Jesse's like, what were you running, Rob?
And he says, something just really freaked me out. And we heard him running, and he wouldn't admit that he was actually running. So we said, "Were you chasing Rob?" And clear as day, you can hear a voice after he says, "Were you chasing Rob?" It says, "No."
And we didn't hear it with our own ears.
No,
we didn't hear it
not
at the
until
time.
later. We went back and reviewed it.
Yeah, so I actually have that clip. I'm gonna play
let's
for you
play
guys.
it.
Let's play it. Yeah.
So it's an actual video clip, but it has the audio attached, and we'll put that up on our YouTube.
That's me running, yes.
And unfortunately, you got the drone going, so you get a lot of background noise.
We're ready. I just got freaked the fuck out. Were you chasing Rob?
Yeah, do you hear that?
Yeah, right
Play
there.
that one more time.
I went.
Yeah. It's like it's a whisper, but it's there.
Yeah, it's definitely there.
Rob,
I just got goosebumps right now.
were you chasing Rob?
You hear that?
Yeah.
No.
I just got goosebumps right
Yeah,
now.
it's super quiet, but
Well,
yeah.
clearly you scare easily, so.
Well, yeah.
No, that was something. Danny, what can you tell us about one of your most memorable encounters?
I was thinking back on a lot of these different trips, but I mean, there's definitely some weird stuff. Like, I will not go into that. I don't know, feel comfortable going into that. What do we call it? The Red Room there at the Washoe Club.
Oh
That
yeah.
place
yeah.
it's just so eerie to me. But I remember on that trip, that very first trip, I remember us getting everything set up and laid out and ready to go for the night. We had things on chargers and making sure we're prepared to go up and do our investigation. And I remember the first team, we divided up into two teams because there's 8 of us, So, and the first team go in um, into the actual club itself to start our investigation. And I don't know if it was all of the devices, but multiple devices that we had checked prior to getting up there. All of a sudden didn't have any battery, where they were fully
Oh, yeah,
charged
yeah.
before that and had been charging the whole night. So that was kind of clue number one. But as we continue to walk around in there, it's I can't remember where it was. I think it was one of the rooms off of the ballroom, but I remember there was a bunch of things like chairs and furniture, whatnot, kind of stacked in the middle of the room. And I felt like I heard something in there inching across the floor.
That's the toy room.
Just kind of, which room was it?
That's the toy room. Where
Oh, the toy room. Yeah. Yeah. And I just remember us all kind of at one point kind of huddled and close up together because I don't think we really knew what to expect. I'd imagine we have that on video or something somewhere, or some sort of recording.
We were sort of cuddling.
I think that was the other group. I don't think I was in that
It
group.
was
Maybe
pretty close,
was that
yeah.
one of our camping trips? We were kind of.
That's a different story. We don't share that one here, Rob. That's a different.
Danny's a cuddler.
So Danny brings up a good point. I think the Washoe, the Red Room, was my first big experience where that's what made me a believer. I mean, I always watched the paranormal shows on TV, and I'm like, oh, I kind of believed it. But it's different when you experience it yourself. And me and one other, and Joe, the another member in our group, we went into the Red Room together. And we weren't really getting much
to cuddle.
Yeah, no cuddling.
Oh.
Not in that room.
Okay.
And we were recording on the digital recorder and on the camera, but we weren't getting anything. We sat down. We were just quiet, and it felt like it was 2-3 minutes long. But I just watched the video the other night, and it was like 30 seconds. But the whole room was like reverberating. All the dust and everything was reverberating off the floor. And at the time, it felt like it was 3 minutes long. We were just sitting there in the dark. You couldn't see anything. And we were just taking in an experience. And then I play the video and it's not on it. But then when you listen to it, you can hear the rocks and dirt reverberating off the floor. So that's one room that I won't go into by myself.
I don't know. I think the Washoe Club as a whole, if anybody is sort of a non-believer, they just need to not even take one of their 1-hour tours, but they offer the ability to stay overnight. If you stayed the night at that location, there's no doubt you're going to leave. Every single time we've been there, there's been a lot of evidence that we've gotten on audio, video, with all the different, but the personal experiences alone. I mean, you can't not go into that place. We have some members of our group. We drive all the way to Nevada from Oregon, and they won't even go. They don't even go upstairs now.
They stay in the museum.
Yeah.
You guys remember, speaking of, just really quick, I don't remember which trip it was, but maybe that was to Goldfield. That sometimes the trip, talking about the trip, is the experience of just the drive, as long as everyone's staying awake on the drive, whoever's driving anyway. But the trip that we made up that one winter, where it was dumping snow. We were pretty committed to
yeah.
getting up there. I think the Goldfield. We even had to run a generator and whatnot just to keep warm and get all the equipment running. But I remember seeing cars flipped over on the side of the road and certain
That
areas
was
of the
How we made it there, I have no idea.
I know, because we were
yeah.
when
No
we were
idea.
unloading the equipment, we were walking in like 8 inches of
Yeah.
snow.
It was 17
Right,
degrees.
right.
Yeah.
We stayed the night there. No heat. Open windows. It's
Yeah.
pretty 17 degrees
So crazy.
is what the temperature was.
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, we
forgot about that.
we got videos
That
of that.
is the level
and
of
everybody's
commitment we
in
offer.
Yeah,
and
that is. That's
beanies
the
and
level
gloves
of
and
commitment.
jackets.
Mhm.
But
I have no idea what possessed us.
and we
go
drove
there
over
at
there
that
in
time.
a 30-foot command center.
It's our dedication, like Danny said. It's our level of
That's the
commitment.
level of dedication we bring to. And
But in all honesty, as far as our group is concerned, I don't know about other paranormal groups that do these investigations. As far as for our concern, the road trip is half of the fun, if not more.
Absolutely.
It's
Right,
just
right.
being with your friends,
Exactly.
being in that RV, doing that drive, and just having that quality time with your friends is what we're really kind of all about.
Watch the SN. Don't forget to watch the SN.
Yeah, watch this. Yeah.
the adventures in between.
I hit one sign.
It was more than one.
No, it was only one.
It was more than one.
But yeah, I agree with you, Scott. I think it's just the experience, and we like to punk each other and stuff. And I think that when some of the other groups, they try to capture that stuff and try to play it off as something paranormal. But when we're actually trying to pick up stuff, we've made an agreement with everybody that not to punk each other while we're trying to actually pick something up, because it's real. I mean, the stuff that two pieces of wood hitting each other, the hairs on the back of my neck standing up, that stuff, that was real to me as all get out. And these guys wouldn't have really got part of it until we got that additional video where we got a response when Jesse said, "Are you chasing Rob?" So
right. Well, and we make no bones about it. We're not. We do have ticketed events, but we choose to investigate the unexplained rather than to try and explain the uninvestigated. Most of the people within our group, Northwest Curiosity Society, have a law enforcement background, a private investigation background. So by nature, we have that investigative intuition.
Mhm.
And so we can learn about these locations, learn about the history, and try to come up with some sort of realistic explanation of what these things could be. And so it's not, to us, it's not about the scare factor. It's when we go on our own, or if we take groups with us in like a ticketed event, we let them know this isn't a ride at Disneyland. Things are not just going to pop out at you when you turn the corner. We don't know when or if anything is going to happen. And we don't try to scare people. We just go there with tools and make every effort we can to explain some of the things that are going on. And we have on occasion debunked a lot of stuff, but for the most part, we're there to investigate those locations and try to come up with some sort of a realistic explanation. And honestly, there's been lots of stuff that just cannot explain.
You can't explain it.
Can't explain it at all.
But we don't need to make stuff up. When we're there, we have enough experiences that we don't need to try and punk each other and scare each other. So
it's good times.
Hey,
and
why
even
don't
taking that philosophy into some of the work that we do on setting up our even some of the experimental stuff. Maybe we're here about the latest greatest and try. I remember the Tesla and smoke, Tesla coil and smoke experiment that we did down in the basement of the Goldfield Hotel. I think that was a really fun one. And I think we had the chance to bring in a group of people in on that one and
I like
really
that too.
kind of see it in action. That was a fun experience with the Ghost Grid as well.
Yeah, the
looking for
portal
the vortex and whatnot.
where they claimed that it was the portal to hell, I believe, and
Yeah.
no, that was a great experiment. That was a great experiment.
Right.
Speaking of experiments, class is in session. We're gonna have a classes in session segment again. This is our very first podcast, so we are doing things as we go along. This is Classes in Session. We are going to, for this episode and future episodes, we're going to talk about a variety of different gear that we use. It may be paranormal. We don't only investigate ghosts and haunted locations and
anything curious.
Right, anything curious. So UFOs, we have specific tools that we use for UFO investigations, Sasquatch. So we're going to talk about the gear that we use, and we'll in this and future episodes, we'll talk about gear that we have that we don't really necessarily think works very well. And we'll also talk about the gear that we have that we think does work well. And then after we discuss the gear, we're going to come up with pass on a few tips for paranormal investigations or whatever investigations we're doing, some tips that we have learned and have worked for us. So we're going to talk about gear and tips. So talking about the gear, we got Jesse.
Yeah, let's get into it. So the first gear review is going to be on the Olympus series recorder. That's the digital recorder that we use on every investigation, whether it's Bigfoot or paranormal. We have multiple, but we have all the same kind. So no matter who's got which box, you have the same digital recorder. We use the Olympus VN 741 model. The reason we use that is because we've used it in our professional field, and it's a great recorder for the price. So what I like about it is that the audio quality on it is pretty good. It's fairly inexpensive. I think you can go on like Amazon or online and get them for about $40. So it's pretty inexpensive, and it's good. It runs off batteries, can record up over 2,000 hours of audio on it. It has a microphone and headphone jack on it, so you can set up an external mic for even better audio pickup. You can put it on headphones so you can listen to it live. So that's a good option. And
plugs in like a USB flash drive. You just push a little button on the side, and the flash drive.
It's super easy to download the audio on your computer.
Easy to transfer files.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite ways of capturing any anomalies is with
if
the
you're going to do paranormal
recorder.
Investigations, you have to have a digital recorder. It picks up so much stuff that you don't hear with your own ears, or that if you're recording it, it doesn't pick up on the camera, but you'll pick it up on the digital recorder. So definitely a must-have. And for the price, you can't go wrong with this. So.
And when you're doing paranormal investigations, you're essentially going to you're going to build up your toolbox. You're going to start. I mean, we didn't get some of our expensive equipment until we started doing this for a long time and doing research. But you're going to have a few basic tools. I remember, Danny and I were just laughing not too long ago about the thermometers and having the thermometer readings in
for temperature.
Yeah. But that's
all where we started.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, just start with little simple tools in your toolbox and eventually build up. But one of the most important tools to have is a recorder.
Yeah, definitely you want to have the digital recorder. Another cool option on this that I like is it has adjustable playback speed. So when you're recording and you get a voice or something that's super fast and you can't quite hear it, you can slow down the speed so that maybe you can understand what it's saying. It's got a nice size LCD screen, so you can see the front of it in the dark. Yeah, the time, how long you've been recording.
Backlit display.
Yep. And the other thing I like is it's got large record and stop. It's right at the top.
Nice for us old guys.
Yeah. Well, when you're in the dark, you can't see anything, so you hit record, and you want to make sure you're recording, and then you can hit stop. So that's nice. And then it's got instant playback, which is great. For the instant playback, you can do live EVP sessions. So you can record short 20, 30 seconds, and then instantly play it back and see if you have any EVPs on it. So,
Danny, you have any experience with the recorder?
Danny goes in.
I don't know specifically that one, but what's that?
Danny just goes in and uses size, sight, smell, He just uses
Yeah,
uses all of
exactly.
his senses.
It's kind of a natural sensing kind of deal. It just pops out, like I can say that in some of these experiences, like I think about the time we were down in the Goldfield Hotel and what was it? We heard kind of the pipes rattling, and
Oh,
I think the lights shut off and the
oh,
cameras shut off and
no.
everything shut off on us. But we still had a digital recorder going. Kind of, it was either in someone's pocket or somewhere nearby. But I always think, I kind of think,
It
maybe
was
we're hiding it from
probably
the
in
entities.
Rob's
They can't
pocket.
see it.
I no, I didn't mean to say it like that. Oh, but it made me think. I think I was down there with you, Danny, and it's like
Yeah, yeah.
the two pipes, like
Yeah, all
Clean.
three of us were down there.
oh, okay,
Clean.
yeah. That was
Exactly.
Because I took off running and screaming. I remember.
Still captured that whole thing on the audio recorder, and I think that was the only thing that caught the entire experience, including our puzzled kind of conversation afterwards, trying to figure out what the hell just happened.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think I don't know
But
about other people, but I keep record on the digital recorder all the time. So when I go
I
out
like
to a
it,
room,
yeah.
I record on it, even if I'm doing video, and then that way you're more likely to catch something. If it's not on the recorder, it's going to be on the audio.
Well, and we've had several experiences where we've had the video camera going and the digital recorder going at the same time, and we go back to review the evidence. We'll catch voices on the recorder that we don't catch on the camera,
On the camera,
or
yeah.
vice versa. Sometimes we'll get voices on the camera and not the digital recorder. So
Yeah, it's kind of interesting on how one piece of equipment won't catch it, but the other one will. And so during our first investigation at the Goldfield High School, which is in Goldfield, Nevada, we were up in the I don't know which, we were in one of the classrooms. I think it was the basement classroom where we were, and it was I think this one actually been with a group, so it might not have been our first time there. One of our times that we went to the high school, we asked a question, and we asked if there was any spirits in here, and we got a response on the digital recorder. I'm going to play that for you, see what you guys think. So this is in the Goldfield High School.
Is there a spirit up here?
Do you hear that?
I heard it.
Yeah, it was
There's
right.
some of us here
it-
that can't hear, but
It was right after I asked if there's a spirit in here, and it's
play
really
it,
quiet.
Play it again.
So, in all honesty, I don't know how you found that. Like, no, I mean, like when you're reviewing all of that evidence.
I think I had to play it a few times.
Yeah,
just
but-
to,
because seriously, I cannot hear it.
Play it again. Play it
all
again.
right, let's play it. So it's super quiet. It sounds like a girl, but she immediately when I ask the question, she answers.
Yeah, immediately.
Is there a spirit up here?
Yeah, that's that's
You
creepy.
hear her say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I can hear it. Yes, but I don't know. Like reviewing the evidence, I don't know how you found that.
You got to use headphones, and you really got to pay attention. And
That's why I don't. That's why I'm not very good at reviewing. 'Cause I can't. I can barely hear you talking to me now. What?
What's that, guys?
Yeah, huh? Bunch of 50-year-olds.
Huh?
What? Huh?
Well, I hope you have something better than that.
No.
Do you have something better than that?
Yeah,
That-
we have
that's-
some.
I have a lot of stuff, but that's a good EVP. That's Class A.
Yeah.
I mean,
guess
I
it
don't you have
depends
another
on-
Class A in there?
I've got some other stuff we
We
can
have
listen to.
lots and lots of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I should have pulled up the if you guys go just to our YouTube channel, I was just gonna pull some stuff off of that because there's some really good that Gollum sounding thing in the principal's office at the Goldfield High School.
We got a lot of Goldfield High School.
Lots of stuff at the
evidence, a lot
Goldfield
of-
High School.
lot of
I
stuff
think
at the
we've gotten
hotel.
more evidence at the Goldfield High School than we have at the hotel. Well, no, let me
Wait,
take that back.
No,
So
the
when
hotel
we-
is when we had the pipes hitting
Right.
together,
So when
right?
we first went to the hotel, and I'm not very good with dates, but when we first went to the hotel, off the charts. It was crazy. We went a second time, pretty crazy, and then they started doing a lot of construction. And
yeah.
every
Lot of
like
construction.
literally a year goes by, we go back after a year, and it's almost completely different. They have walls up, They've taken out a lot of the old walls, replaced them with new walls. And honestly, I don't know that the activity was.
I think it was noticeably less for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, the Ghost Adventure crew, when they went there, it was a wreck. There's debris everywhere, but the activity was off the charts. But I think as they do more construction, the activity is getting less and less and less. And now we can't even get back in there.
I wonder if it's gonna be like
Let it be known that they left the running out of the building, and we did not. Any of the
True,
times that
very
we-
true.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you
that's
didn't
true.
have a brick thrown at you either. So
Well, I don't know. about
I
that
threw
one.
rocks at Danny.
We tried. Yeah.
But I wonder if it's gonna be if they down the road it opens up and then everything settles. They start. Then,
I don't think it's going to open.
Maybe.
I'd be surprised if it ever opened.
Well, it might be one of those things. Once things settle down, maybe the activity picks up again.
yeah.
Who
I
knows?
don't know.
But yeah, the high school.
Or my theory is that so here's my theory. So we went with our small group a couple times. We then went with larger, like the ticketed groups.
But, yeah.
The activity was significantly higher, I think, when we had a group. And my mindset, whether it's true or not, but my thought on this is that the spirits feel like that there's people at the hotel like there was then.
Well,
And
you
so
remember we
it
did that.
seems
We
like
played the
they're
music.
more apt to come out because it's bubbling with activity instead of a couple guys with a camera going from or a flashlight going from room to room.
Well,
There's
we were
more
even
people, more energy, and they're feeding off of that energy. And it's almost like when the hotel was probably hopping. 'Cause
Yeah,
apparently
we
back
talked
in the
about
day
that.
it was really something.
We talked about that because the last time that many people were in that hotel.
It was a hotel.
Yeah,
Mhm.
most likely. Because how many people we have in there plus us?
I think we had 40 total.
Yeah,
40
like
total.
40.
Mhm.
So there hadn't been 40 people in that building
Mhm.
all together at once for
and
many,
it did
many,
seem
many
like
years.
it did seem like the activity there was a lot more activity, I feel, when we played that music, that historic music from that time period.
Yeah.
I think that really kind of prompted something as well.
I kind of have a different opinion on that. I think it correlates to more of the time of year, the year, and what happened, maybe 100 years ago on that particular day at that time.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of catch some of that stuff
Mm-hmm.
versus I'm sure that having people in there does affect it some, but that residual haunting stuff I think is, was 100 years ago, the same moon, the same everything, and it just like a time capture in time.
But then again, we know from experience that that ghosts, for example, can use the power from our batteries to say something or partially manifest by using the batteries. Why couldn't they do that with all of the energy from the people? 40 people in that room as opposed to 2 or 3.
I think they
like-
can.
It's a lot of energy.
Like
Yeah.
Danny said, when we went to Virginia City for the first time, the Washoe Hotel, we had everything charging. Everything was 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And we walked in. What, we go up one floor maybe? Or I can't even remember what we did.
Yeah,
but
we got into the lowest levels of the club. Well, it was up the stairs, but the lowest levels of that club for sure, or inside the hotel area, I guess it was. And everything just poop.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was great. We're
did
all
better.
like looking at, hey, what happened? Yeah, that was
Yeah,
crazy.
the watch shop had that happen several times, and our equipment was brand new, so it's not like the battery was weak or anything. You're in there and you're going around and you're recording for 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden it powers off, and that's the only thing that you're using to see,
Right.
and it literally drained your battery.
Yeah. We had that a lot with the SLS cam.
Yeah, I think the SLS cam was just draining. You're using so much backlight, so much power that
Yeah,
it doesn't
true.
last for super long.
True. Do you have any more audio samples there from the Olympus?
I do have some spirit box stuff here we can play from the high school, actually. This one is a spirit box where we're asking how many spirits are in here, and we get here. I'll play this in response.
Can you tell me how many spirits are in this building? Three.
So that was kind of hard. It didn't really pick it up very well, but everybody in the room goes 3, so that you could hear it. It's kind of quiet though.
Play it one more time.
Three.
Yeah, see, I'm deaf, and I heard that. That was 3.
Yeah.
Clear. And that was an intelligent response to the question.
Yeah,
I don't know how you would dispute that.
I don't know how you dispute
Some people do dispute the spirit box, but when you get an intelligent answer from a specific question, how can you not?
Well,
Right.
the funny thing about this is at a ticketed event. So there's a bunch of people in the room, and this is just a short 10-second clip out of 10 minutes. And over that 10 minutes, we had 5 or 6 intelligent responses to our questions in over 10 minutes. It was a really hopping night that night.
That was well, it was a different time, but we've had a lot of intelligent responses at the high school. I remember me and you, I think we're going down the hallway, and I said, "Who owns this building?" And they said, but plain as day, right away they said red.
Yeah, at the hotel. Yeah.
Who owns the hotel? Did I say high school?
Yeah.
Hotel. Said, who owns the hotel? We were at the hotel, and clear as a day said red.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, how do you dispute
and
that?
And that's the name of the guy that owned it at that time.
Yeah.
So
another.
Oh, the other one. This was the one that weirded me out. I think the most was at the high school, and I don't remember who I was with, but we were in the stairwell, and a voice as clear as a bell came through the spirit box and said, "What are you looking for?"
Oh, that was at the hotel.
I remember that.
That was they have those concrete stairwells.
Yeah.
And it was actually
that freaked me out.
Yeah, we were standing
what
there.
What are you looking for?
And we were looking down the stairs. We were looking up or down, which way we
Clearly
go.
we were inspecting and looking around.
And it was a woman.
I just totally froze because that freaked me out. Clear as a bell. What are you looking for? Yeah, that was crazy.
I feel like there's another one that we had in the stairwell. I can't remember spirit box, Jesse. Oh man, I can't remember what that one was. But I remember being on one of those back stairwells in the Goldfield Hotel. Was it the Goldfield?
I think
can't
so.
remember
There was
exactly
a lot of activity down by that stairwell. Wasn't it underneath the stairwell that the girl was supposedly buried or
down
something?
on
that
was the elevator shaft.
Yeah.
She was below the elevator shaft, Elizabeth.
Okay.
So this was in the same time we got that spirit box that said there was 3 spirits. We were in the high school, so we're obviously asking some high school questions. So I'm assuming we're talking to a student, and we asked what grade are you in, and this is what we got.
What grade are you in?
Did you hear it? It was right there. I'll play it one more time.
Did you say 7?
Is it, what grade are you in?
Seventh grade.
Yeah.
7. Yeah.
So that was the time, literally over 10 minutes. It was just the spirit box was playing nonstop.
Right.
So, yeah, it was that was our ticket event, and I think those people left pretty happy.
Yeah.
We've had quite a few people leave the ticketed events. I'm out.
Yep. We had one at the hotel. She was in my group, and so when we do our events at the hotel, we each take a floor, and we drew the short straw and got the basement first. And we went down to the elevator shaft where the baby was supposedly thrown down the shaft. And this lady, she went into the elevator shaft, was kind of sitting in there, and she was with her husband. And she was in there for a couple of minutes, and then she just started crying uncontrollably. And we got her out of there, got her up to the top. She went outside and to get some air, and her husband came back and said, "Yeah, she's done. She can't do anymore." She was there for literally 10 minutes for this ticket.
Kind of reminds me of Danny. Danny will sometimes just cry uncontrollably.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So the first paranormal, I don't think Danny was like too interested in the paranormal stuff at first. The first trip we did a paranormal investigation was at the Washoe, and we went up and did their little tour. What they take a bunch of people through. I remember Danny, he was all laughing and telling jokes with all these people. Spent 20, 30 minutes up
nervous
there.
laugh.
Yeah.
That
And then
was
we
a
went.
nervous laugh. And besides that, we pre-funked before that one. I had
Yeah,
to get
we
ready.
did. And then, so they stopped doing the tours. They locked the building down. It's all yours, guys. And he's like, I'm good. I don't need to go in.
That place, I mean, that was probably. Now, I've been in some places actually down in Portland, in the like the Shanghai tunnels and those kind of tours. And but man, it was a different experience. I remember even Jesse and I took the tour because I don't think we had been on that before. And I think, I don't know if you remember I recall like something running upstairs. Now, granted, there shouldn't have been anyone up there. We weren't necessarily in investigation mode, but it sounded like we heard like footsteps and things like that in areas of this building that were supposed to be, closed and whatnot. But that just, I mean, it kind of set the tone for me before we even got ourselves in there to do our work.
Yeah,
That place does something to you.
I remember
Absolutely.
getting ready in the museum, and we're listening to all these bumps and creaks and everything going on upstairs, and there's nobody up there, and we're about ready to go up there. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of important when we're talking about, the gear that we use. We're talking about the Olympus recorders. Some of the things that we've learned is that when you're utilizing a recorder, like the Olympus recorder, that if you see or hear things while you're doing your investigation, that it's really important for you to verbalize that stuff on the recording during your investigation so that you can, when you're reviewing it, sometimes it may be days later, and it could be something that, I tripped over something, or that was a window closing, or that's tab behind me, walking behind me. So identify sounds that may be misleading to you when you're doing your investigation. So it's identifying those noises, sounds, if and when you can, or say, hey, that was weird, so that at least the time, date stamp of when you might want to look at something.
That's another point too. I think we did this the last couple times where we had a paper where people could write down their actual time of the event, of the timestamp, where we wrote down whatever it was we thought we heard, and then we wrote down the time.
Device.
The timestamp, so we could review it at that. We could just fast forward it to that timestamp, so we can review it really quick.
Yeah, making that distinction between a sound that you made or heard that was explainable at that moment, making sure that you make notation of that on your recording is instrumental. Sometimes you're like, and then just say, "Oh, I got startled," so that you don't hear that and
think it's
something else. So
the other thing when you're using the digital recorder is to make sure that when you're moving it, these things are so sensitive. You can hear that static and you can hear the shuffle of it moving. Is to not put your hand over the microphone piece, and then that way you can you get more clear audio. So going off of Scott's, if you make a noise and you need to identify on the recorder, and I got a little sample of one of our investigations where there was a noise, but then we debunked it. So we just say it right on the digital recorder. So when you're listening to it, you know what you're listening to. So here.
That was Danny flashlighting.
All right, so that was definitely debunked. We knew that
debunked.
It wasn't a ghost.
But
Here's the thing. Be mindful of what you eat before you go into an investigation. Okay.
He set off the
Just
spirit
be
box.
mindful of what you eat.
So one of the most interesting things about that
He set off the spirit box.
is that we had a REM pod.
Oh, the REM pod.
We had a REM pod in the room, and somehow your flatulence set off the REM pod.
I think it was the temperature.
Play that again.
Temperature. He set the temperature gauge off, so you must have been close to it. There you go.
Here it goes. Beep, 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 beep. Right afterwards.
Yeah, so he literally set it off. It probably so
Yeah.
the REM pod only changes. It only beeps when you get a few degree difference. So I had to change it quite a bit.
I do this for our fans, okay? So you know that in the future when you set these things up, you know what the possibilities are out there. Okay, you got to explore all opportunities in the environment.
So I had to be sure to note what that was, so that
in the future.
Yes, thank you for the assist.
somebody's reviewing that, and they're gonna be like, "What was that?
Yeah,
What?
I'm pretty sure we would have known what that
Dude,
was.
did you hear that?"
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
It's time to go to the news.
Okay.
What do you got for us on this episode?
Tonight, we are going to talk about some of the most recent UFO sightings. I found one a lot of people are talking about. This was I don't know if you guys got an opportunity to view this like you were supposed to for your homework. This was in Hawaii. It was blue lights that eventually disappeared into the ocean. It was caught on camera. This was one of many. I think this is probably one of the better footage ones that actually made the news. And sort of disappears, which leads, I guess, some credibility to. I'm sure all of you guys have heard of the UFOs that are coming in and out of the ocean. Seen videos.
And I did watch the video. Yeah.
Aviation Administration say there were no aircraft incidents or accidents in this area Tuesday night, but multiple witnesses report seeing a large blue object fall out of the sky and into the ocean.
Something is in the sky. What is that?
This video was taken by Misitina Sape at 8:26 Tuesday night near Haleakala Avenue in Nanakuli. Not long after, a woman named Mariah spotted the same thing passing over Princess Kahanu.
So
Yeah.
it's like
So we want to explain what is going on the video. Go ahead, Jesse.
So it looks like a blue
Dates.
ribbon. It's like a line going across the sky is what it looks like to me.
What do you think, Scott?
I think it's definitely a spherical object.
I
mean,
to
what you're
me,
seeing is half of the sphere.
Yeah, that's what I
because
think.
it's in the dark and you're only seeing the sphere that's lit up. So I mean, it looks like a sphere to me.
Parachute. I think it's a glowing parachute.
No, I lived right behind a place where they did night parachuting, and this is not a parachute. I can tell you. I can tell you because I've seen lots of people do night parachuting, and this is not a night parachute.
They all said, yeah.
The 38-year-old says she's never really been a believer in UFOs, but the bright blue object had them so intrigued they jumped in the car and started following it.
I don't know what it was. This one was going so fast.
The journey ended less than 3 miles from where it began on Farrington Highway in front of the Board of Water Supply building after the object appeared to drop into the ocean.
This
Going out in the water or whatever.
Well, I could see that part. That's the only part that is kind of curious to me because it literally is going across the sky, one direction. It stops and then it just drops, goes straight down. So, do I think it's a alien vessel? I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical on that type of stuff. But is it a UFO? Is it an unidentified flying object? I think so.
She described it as being larger than a telephone pole and says she never heard it make any sound.
We called 911 if I have, like,
I think the Smurfs in the background is a little disturbing.
some cop or somebody should come out and come check them out.
While officers were on scene, she says they spotted a second light.
My husband went look up and he seen the white one coming. The white one was smaller, was coming in the same direction as the blue one.
They lost sight of the object after it passed over a nearby mountain. This morning, we asked Honolulu police if investigators figured out what fell in the water. A spokesperson told us they didn't have any information. Meanwhile, officials from the FAA said they received a report from police Tuesday night about a possible plane down in the area, but had no aircraft disappear off radars and no reports of overdue or missing aircraft.
So if that was an aircraft, why would it stop
and then
go
drop
straight down?
down?
So what's the name of that video? So if somebody wants to watch that, they can.
Bright blue UFO Seen crashing into ocean near Hawaii prompts calls to 911.
So you can search that on YouTube and,
bright
and look
blue
for
UFO
yourself.
seen crashing
it's
into
a
ocean.
local news crew in Hawaii.
I think what intrigued me a little bit more than this video itself, or this disclosure evidence, whatever you want to call it, is the fact that it made media, which is, a year ago, no media outlet would ever have been reporting on UFOs.
Didn't the government admit to UFOs this year or in 2020?
No, they're doing some soft disclosures.
Yeah,
They're not admitting to anything, but they're definitely opening up their books more.
Yeah,
they're making a lot more available to the public. A lot of it is obviously blacked out.
It's
a lot of
it's
the
definitely interesting. It's definitely unexplainable. I can't tell you what it is, and I can't say it is a UFO or a ship going into the ocean or it's not. But it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, I just enjoy I just enjoy the fact that media outlets are kind of showing this stuff a little bit more than they ever would have.
Well, they're doing news where they're not, it's not crazy Roswell type, stories. It's legit. Hey, this is unexplained UFO.
Tinfoil hats and whatnot.
Yeah, they're taking it seriously.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta be careful with that nowadays. There's so many things that are out there that you can, make it look like a pretty good video with visual effects and everything. You gotta
Where
really,
you can fake it, yeah.
Definitely in one of our upcoming episodes, we need to talk about our trip to the East City Ranch.
Yeah,
and George Gilliland and our experiences there, because that was amazing. That was an absolutely amazing. If you're not a believer in UFOs, you can look up ECETI Ranch, ECETI Ranch. We've spent some time out there doing investigations
and got an interview with
some interviews with some folks that were out there, as well as George Gilliland, the gentleman that owns and operates that facility. So that'll definitely be the topic of UFOs will be in one of our future podcasts for sure.
What do we got coming up on our next podcast? What are we going to be doing there?
We're hoping that it'll be a featured interview with Xavier, cryptid hunter from
Nevada.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Nevada. He's got a lot of really good stuff. We've done some collabs on investigations.
He came along fairly early in our... how did we meet him anyway?
I think he started following us on our Facebook, and then we just kind of linked up, and we actually did some investigations with him.
Yeah,
cool guy, super cool guy.
Yeah, he's now in Colorado.
Colorado, I think.
Yeah, he went from Nevada to Colorado, but he's still doing some of his stuff. He's got a good following on YouTube and Facebook. But yeah, we hope to interview him.
So yeah, hopefully you guys come back for episode 2, and we can get that interview going. I think the next episode I'll do a review on our spirit boxes. Got 2 different kinds we like to use, and I'm a big believer in the spirit box, so that'll be an interesting review if you guys are interested in getting a spirit box and how they work, and we'll go over all.
Awesome. Well, we want to thank everybody for listening to our very first podcast.
Yeah, make sure you check us out on our Facebook, Northwest Curiosity Society. Got a YouTube page with a lot of these videos, and we'll post these videos we're talking about tonight on there.
Hey, Danny.
Thanks, Danny, for joining us. We appreciate it.
Nighty night.